Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special Reunion 2020 episode. What is that? That's when I bring on a guest that I had on in the past. I liked them so much, I brought them right back. So today's guest is Mayra Rocha, who is president over at Project M Media Corp. Mayra, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for having me again.
So when I saw your proposed show topic, corporate storytelling, it blew my mind. I'm like, okay, that's something that we all need help with, myself included. Even though I'm on a microphone all day, we all need help with it. And this is one of your expertise, and I'm happy to bring that expertise to my audience. But before we get into our topic, corporate storytelling, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Project M Media Corp, please?
So Project M Media is my fourth, I call it my fourth entrepreneurial venture, because I really didn't mean to make it. I'm actually a journalist by trade. I have an MBA, so I have the business background. And when I got laid off from my job as a journalist, I had a couple people reach out to me and say, hey, can you help me? I'm trying to figure out how to do this video, or I'm trying to figure out how to do this podcast. So I had 2 or 3 clients, lucky me, where I said, what, let me be serious, because now it's real. So what is Project M? It's the media strategy company or agency that focuses on the whole 360 of media for companies.
And so what kind of clients do you like working with? Let's start there. So what's your typical client that you like working with to help, so that if people are listening, know if they're a good fit?
So my expertise, I would say, is the small business owner. The small business owners are very hardworking. They're good learners. They just really don't know where to go. And I come in and I quickly see what they're missing, or I make them a strategy. And then I sort of set them up, and most of them continue doing, the digital media by themselves. I just come in a couple times a month to check up on them. But those are probably and by small, I mean 5 to 20 employees, or anyone that wants to focus on content that is business driven. That's probably more of my expertise. And business driven is I was doing media strategy for a university that has an accelerator for small businesses. So what I do is I sit down with them and I say, how are we going to make your message come across, and how are we going to do it? Through writing, through a podcast, through video, and once we decide, then I provide that content.
That's awesome. Let's switch it up a bit. Let's get into today's topic. So corporate storytelling. Why don't you kick it off? Tell us what that means to you, please.
Corporate storytelling is how you're telling your story. And a lot of companies, believe it or not, they don't know, they're not telling the correct story because they don't know who they are. So one of the things that as a corporate entity that people should know is that before you even think of doing media, before you even think of doing marketing, you have to know 1,000% who you are as a company. In marketing, there's fancy terms like brand persona or customer persona, but you really need to understand, are you a serious company? What's your voice? If you're going to social media, is it a serious voice, or is it more of a relaxed voice? We've all seen Wendy's. We all know Wendy's, a burger place. If anyone looks at their social media, they're very funny. So their personality, Wendy's caters to a broad community, but their personality is that they're relaxed, come into our Wendy's however you want, whatever day we're here for you. But that doesn't work for everyone, right? It's I was working with a digital marketing school, and as a digital marketing school, they're not quite a university, but they're not quite Wendy's, right? So we had to find a medium voice to portray, and this is, before, media, what is media strategy? Well, making sure that your voice is voiced across all platforms, but sincerely, it doesn't work. It will be a complete fail if you don't know who you are, because once you know who you are, then the rest, I don't want to say it's technical because a lot of thinking goes into it, but it's certainly much easier.
Yeah, I think the really big distinction in that is, and when you say they don't know who they are, I think some of the people listening to this are like, well, yeah, we know who we are, but I would actually agree with you. I think most companies know what they do. They don't really know who they are. So they know their product, they know these other things, but they don't really know who they are. So I agree with you completely. And that if you don't have that identity kind of laid out and planned out, then it's hard to maintain consistency. So let's say that somebody's out there and they do, like they've started and they maybe they're on the right path to knowing who they are, and they're trying to craft a message. What do you find are some of the common mistakes people do in implementing their plans out there?
There's a couple mistakes. One is that as part of corporate storytelling, the whole story has to match. If you are, like we were saying, if you are a good business, whatever business you are, it has to match your digital persona. It has to be, your business has to be clean. Your employees have to be trained. You can have an amazing media strategy, and then when people walk in your store, they're disappointed, which has happened to many of us, I'm sure. So the one thing I work with them is matching their identity, making sure all their media is equally identifiable. The second problem that I see is that entities want to do everything. They want to do amazing YouTube, amazing Instagram, and it is very expensive. The companies that we see that do an excellent job in all the mediums are companies that invest upwards of $1 million, right? Because to manage a well-managed social media can go from $500 to $1,500, I'm just talking one medium. But if you add LinkedIn and YouTube, it's very expensive to do good content. So this is another mistake that companies have to sit down and say, okay, I want to do everything. We all want to do everything, but exactly what is the best return on investment for me? What works better? And this is when analytics come into place, and we analyze and we say, this is working for you. Let's push this. And once this is set, we can move on to another medium. We can move on to maybe for someone that does selling, they can do Pinterest works for them. But if you're going to do Pinterest, you have to have a good designer, because you can't just put, silly pictures there. So everything has everything requires an investment. Everything requires a time investment. So I would say those are the two main problems that I see in companies.
That's awesome. And yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And we struggle with that even over here. So we recently last year made the upgrade to video. And we just launched the YouTube channel. And I mean, that took another full-time employee to get all those things done, like literally to add some of those other platforms. Without doing that, I can't. And that obviously, we're in the media business. We're a media company. But if there was, if somebody's out there and they're a lawyer and they have a, chiropractic office, or they're a dentist, and they want to start adding all of these different platforms without, having the right staff in place or hiring the correct company. In that case, you don't want to have a whole office, a dentist office full of social media team. You need to outsource that one. That's kind of funny. Have everybody running around doing posts. No, you need to focus on your business. But that being said, it's really expensive, and it's tricky to get it right too, and to implement the strategy and the quantity and what you're going to do, and the timing and the content calendar. I want to spend a little bit of time on content calendar for you, because I don't think that everybody out there, number one, knows the importance of it or how essential it is for for implementing a correct strategy throughout the year. And whenever I talk to a company and I'm like, oh, you're doing your own social media, or you work with somebody, and usually when I talk to somebody, if they work with somebody, obviously they have a content calendar and they have a strategy. If they don't work with somebody, then they're normally like, what's a content calendar? And I'm like, you need to hire somebody. So tell us a little bit more about that, just so everybody listening knows what it is and why if they don't have one, they need to hire somebody.
So the content calendar is absolutely, it's very important because this is when you'll do it better. Because if you're just posting random things that have no story to it, you will look unprofessional. And I think that the best advice for whomever is listening that I can give is you need to have two content calendar. One, it's a yearly, like a media strategy calendar, where you determine, all right, this is what I'm launching, this is what I want to, this is the product I want to push, this is the event I want to go to. So if you can imagine having all of that per quarter, January, February, March. So then you do your content, your social media, or your digital media calendar to that. You don't just post random things. That doesn't work. People like consistency, and your audience is there for a reason. So once you know that reason, and once you have your all the things that you're doing within those ones, that's what you do your social media to, if it makes sense. And then, as you get more comfortable, or if you hire an agency, what you would do is you would post something, again, talking about consistency, like Mondays you post a quote, Tuesday you push your product, Wednesdays you do a Facebook Live, but there's always that consistency with purpose. Because you don't just post for fun. You post because you're going to strengthen your brand, or it's going to make you sell more product. So that is the importance of the social media calendar, so that you get quality and consistency. And there's many of them that work very well, but and some of them are free if you're just a small business. They're free if you have to use more platforms and you pay a small fee for it.
That's awesome. Well, Mayra, I could talk to you all day long about this, but we're about out of time. So if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on Project M Media, what's the best way for them to reach out?
It is on my website. It's project.media, that easy. and that's where you can get in contact with me the quickest.
Perfect. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming back on the show and sharing more about all the great stuff you have going on over at Project M Media, and helping all of us with our thought process around corporate storytelling. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. Speaking of the YouTube channel, we launched that this year. Money Matters Top Tips. Go over there and give us a subscribe. If you have some opinions on corporate storytelling and how to do it right, leave us some comments in the comment section on this video. Love to engage with you in a dialogue there. And Mayra, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you very much, Adam. Pleasure to speak to you as always.